Huh?
Brother.
What's up, everybody? It's the Fantasy Dad. Sorry, we are having some technical difficulties as of late. We're still trying to figure this shindig out all the time. We're always using new softwares and different things. Thanks for joining us tonight on another beautiful Tuesday night, Transaction Tuesday here with Moose and Smirks. Smirks, how you doing tonight, buddy?
We hanging in there, dude. I actually had my best week yet.
Ooh.
5-2. So if we once we get a soundboard, I would have just done like the we feeling ourselves this week.
We are all over the place too. If you guys haven't seen Rhino's posts the last few days, we hit our 1 millionth view last week, and in the last 7 days, we've had another 1 million views. We had one video blow up over 500,000 views, another one over 200, one over 100, and a few here and there that are over 20,000 at this point since Saturday. So we're booming. We're booming. It's no more boom or bust. We're doing this shit for real. And we're so glad that you guys can join us here tonight. Important transaction week. Last week I think it was immediate plug and plays, right? So like it was people that we absolutely needed. Besides DPJ, who I will never play ever again, and it's not his fault. It's really just what the luck was that night. But that's, I mean, it's unfortunate. Kev, I know that we have some injuries, although they're not as crazy as they have been in the past, but we do have a couple of big ones to talk about tonight. Do you have a list for us tonight, buddy?
Well, I'm gonna start with probably the two running backs that are the bigger ones, and then I'll get into the Thursday fiasco. And then I'll just scroll down the rest of the updates that I have. But anyway, the big one would be Miles Sanders, right?
Yeah.
He was a big injury this week.
Yep.
His knee, right?
I believe so. Yep.
He avoided a major injury, though. So my guess is I think they said 2 to 4 weeks. Kenneth Gainwell is available. Obviously, we'll talk about him later. But that's the outlook right there. It's his ankle. He was quickly ruled out. He'll get x-rays done earlier this week, but he's not believed to have broken any bones. So it's going to be probably like a sprain. If it's a high ankle variety, we just saw Jerry Judy miss 6 weeks with that. If
not
it's
good.
low ankle, probably more like 3 weeks. So yeah, you're going to be without Miles Sanders for a little while. He hasn't been very useful for you anyway, with the way they cannot run the ball effectively. And the other one was Josh Jacobs. They said it was a chest injury, but it's looking like he might actually not even miss any time. Says he avoided major injury, and they're going into a bye anyway. So he has a week to rest that.
It's good news.
So I wouldn't panic too much on him. Kenyon Drake is 60% owned, but if he is available, definitely worth a scoop. A scoop for sure. I don't think anybody wants Jalen Rashard. Nobody wants a piece of Jalen Rashard.
I'm not touching that.
Kenyon Drake ain't there, then I wouldn't even try to pursue that backfield anyway. They're letting Derek Carr just air it out. 31 out of 34 this week. Damn near perfect. So yeah, that was the two bigger injuries of the week to the running back position. Then we can get into this mess on Thursday. Another COVID situation. One of the best wide receivers in the league. You're going to be without him for this week anyway. Devonte Adams tested positive. I believe members of their coaching staff did as well. So that's not ideal, especially because they have a bye coming up in a couple weeks too. So now you're taking basically your best player and you're losing him for 2 weeks instead of 1. Not great. I'm trying to trade him because I'm 2-5 and I can't afford to be without him for 2 of the next 3 or 4 weeks. I need to win. So I'm trying to piece something together here. Also,
You
Alan
are.
Lazard.
You are. We'll talk
I
about that a little more in a minute
we'll
here.
get into that in a bit. Alan Lazard too, also out with
Oh,
COVID on Thursday. He was going to be one of the top waiver ads of the week for us, Moose, and that's not anymore.
the first thing we said yesterday was, I think you may have even said it on Sunday, is before the whole COVID Devonte Adams thing, is Alan Lazard needs to be picked up. And you know what, dude, we go through this every single year with this guy. We really do. And I'm not mad about it, right? It just kind of is what it is with Alan Lazard. It's boom or bust. But it's every single year, and it's really unfortunate because this Sunday was it was finna be a shootout, man. I already have a parlay going here. And this was before the Devonte news that came out today, right? Or yesterday?
Yesterday for Adams, today for Lazard.
That's right. It came out yesterday, and then today for Lazard. So before I saw the Lazard news, I took the money line Cardinals when I should have just taken the spread. I'm not even quite sure what the spread is right now, but we'll see how that works out. But yeah, no good for them right now.
Right.
It's Trouble Town, USA for Green Bay.
Marquez, though, they hope he could return from a hamstring injury. Like, yippee, MVS,
Yeah.
we've seen what he is anyway. I think the security blanket this week going to end up being Randall Cobb. Maybe Robert Tonyan gets involved, but it's not good. Aaron Jones will probably just lead that team in receiving this week. It's going to be one of those days, I think, where Aaron Jones out of the backfield eats. That would be my guess.
Okay.
So yeah, we'll get into the other updates I got here. Jerry Judy's back.
Let's
He
go.
is back.
Let's
He'll
go.
suit up in week 8 against a bad Washington secondary. So I'm playing him immediately as a flex or a wide receiver 3 wherever I have him. I don't think they're gonna have him on a pitch count. He's been out for 6 weeks. I think he's good to go. Actually, closer, 7 weeks. So I think he's gonna just slot right in to his normal allotment of snaps. This right here, Ramondre Stevenson's game day status will be a week-to-week decision. I don't know what that means, so I just drop him in redraft for sure.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Where are we going?
What's up, Paul? Paul's on the chat. How you doing, Paul?
What's up, Paul? We had a little tidbit of news here. Joe Flacco, whatever's left, the remains of Joe Flacco have been shipped to the New York Jets. Like they dug him up from the ground.
They didn't just dig him up.
They exhumed his body. His corpse is now on its way to New York, where he can fill in for Zach Wilson for a couple of weeks. And I don't think that why didn't they just roll with Mike White?
Dude, I mean, why not pick up some?
Mike White will likely still start the team's Week 8 game against the Bengals. So fire up the Bengals D anyway.
It's crazy that they would give up a pick. They gave up a possible 5th
why
round
bother,
pick
bro? Why did you could have anyone to back up Mike White? Like, you don't need. You're not competitive. What the fuck are you doing?
Right. Yeah, crazy that they would do that.
Let's dig up the corpse of Joe Flacco, fly him over to New York. Let's do it. All right, buddy. He's elite.
Elite. I hate that word.
Malcolm Brown, he's landing on the IR. So, I mean, Gaskin and Ahmed, that's a bump for both of them, I would say. Will Fuller, not expected to play in Week 8, still out with that broken finger. It's Mike Gesicki, Jalen Waddle are eating right now in that offense. Tua actually looks pretty good. Michael Gallup, designated to return from the IR, and we will talk about him a little bit later, right?
Oh, we'll talk about him. We talked a little bit about him last week, but this is the week that you really need to pick him up.
Right. He ended up dropping below 50% owned on ESPN leagues. So
yeah, I think people had to drop him to pick up their plays last week.
Yeah. D-Hop has a hamstring injury. They said he, technically was a DNP on Monday. This guy don't miss games though. I think he plays no problem. Odell
Right.
Beckham not planning to undergo surgery in season, so he's just going to try to struggle through this. Drop him. I don't think you can use him if he's struggling through this. Every time he lands on his shoulder, he has to go off the field.
Yeah, it's literally every time he's hit.
It's not good. It's not great.
There's no
Baker
other dude.
doesn't practice Monday. He's also dealing with a shoulder problem.
His is significant.
Yeah, the only thing that's saving him is it's obviously not his throwing shoulder, but that doesn't help much
Yeah, no.
when it comes to just trying to be a functional human being on the field.
Right.
We don't really know much about the Giants wide receiver situation yet for this week, but if Tony comes back, he's a must-add and probably a must-play.
He's
Him or
probably
Shepard.
he's probably an ad for me regardless if he's on
Yeah,
waivers, man. Like, so
yeah. If
let me
he's
ask you
available,
this.
you pick him up.
Let me ask you this real quick though, and I hate to cut you off. I'm sure you have more updates. Would you pick up Shepard or Tony?
Probably
Or
Shepard first,
okay, all right.
because
I
we've
would agree.
seen him with the more elite target share when he's healthy. But I don't know. He had a setback. Like he was ready. He came back for a game, didn't he? Or he was
He did.
close to
Yeah.
coming. Yeah, he came back for a game, and now he's out again. So that's not good.
No,
The
it's a
hamstrings are
lingering
tricky.
issue, and not only did he come back, he came back against the Rams and put up 18 points in PPR. So you were definitely looking to have him week 7. I mean, with all the guys on bye, Sterling Shepard was a guy we all needed for sure.
Yeah, so I'm not sure if Tony or Shepard get back out there this week, but they're worth an ad. Tyrod Taylor expected to practice. I don't know if he starts. Antonio Gibson is dealing with that, the
Broken shin.
fractured shin.
It's literally
It's really
insane.
hindering him. It's basically he's touchdown or bust right now. Not involved in the passing game enough, and he'll give you like 50, 60 rushing yards, and if he doesn't score, he's a bust for you, and
Yeah.
it hurts because I reached a little bit on him in a league, and now I'm hurting. I took him and Ridley in a place where I could have had much better options, and that
Yeah.
hurts, but it is what it is. Nick
It is
Chubb
what it is.
returns. He's going to be back this week. So the Dearness Johnson hype train is running out of steam. I'm sure
Oh
he'll get
man,
some
he
work.
played so well though.
He looked really good, but this is Nick Chubb. He'll dominate the carries, and I could see Dearness mixing in like kind of a Kareem Hunt role.
Yeah, I don't hate that.
I think I'm getting through it, man. I'm not seeing too
Yeah.
many more injuries on here. I believe that's it. We hit on all the important ones.
All right. Fantastic. So let's talk a little bit about what's coming up for waiver priorities. Just so you guys know, there have been 10 teams that have gone through their bye weeks already. I just want to put a little tiny tip in here. Those are the guys you want to target to trade for. If you really need some help and you want some extra points and you have somebody on any of the remaining teams that haven't had a bye yet, and you can package them for a bigger player on one of those other teams, I would go ahead and do that. In regards to the waiver wire, first off, if you're with us, thank you again. Make sure to like, share, comment, follow us on all our socials, especially TikTok. We're almost at 2K. And I think just about, a couple weeks ago, if that, we just got to 1K. So we're booming here in our second month, our second full month, and we're moving on to the third month. We're on to 3. So thanks for joining. And like, share, comment, subscribe, do whatever you got to do. Follow us on socials. Let's get right into the waivers, Kev. And we'll
Yep.
start with we'll start with the first guy here. And that is Kenny Gainwell is actually what I wrote
Kenny G, the
on
new Kenny G.
the new Kenny G, fly as can be. What do you like about him, man? And is he your number one at this moment?
Yeah, he would be. The only thing I really like about him is the opportunity to lead the backfield in touches. He's shown flashes this year, but also when he was thrust into this role last week, I saw him drop 2 balls. I saw him
Yep.
fumble. Wasn't his best effort by any means, but he's going to be a starting running back. Boston Scott's obviously going to be involved. Now, Boston Scott actually had more rushing attempts, but not even close to the amount of targets, which are more valuable in most formats. So for me, you got to add Gainwell over Boston Scott, but they're both definitely in consideration.
You know what sucks?
What
I had
sucks, man?
I had to drop Boston Scott this past week in Dynasty.
That is brutal.
Yeah,
You wouldn't play him though anyway.
No, I wouldn't.
Not on
Would
that
never.
squad you got. Come on now. I had to
on
drop
now.
Kenny Gainwell in a league that I had him because I needed somebody to play. I had to pick up Devonte Freeman to use last week. So now Gainwell has been scooped by somebody else. So where we at?
All right,
Yeah,
so
man.
yeah,
I
Kenny
think you gotta
Gainwell.
add Gainwell.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what you can really expect out of him because Miles Sanders has been the RB1 all year there and hasn't really produced. So I mean, in a full PPR, you'll probably get 10 to 15 points out of him, and if he's lucky enough to score twice, you could get more. But I just don't think he has like that high of a ceiling.
Okay. Yeah, I don't hate it. But I mean, he should have been owned prior to this, anyways, for the most part.
Right.
But with Bipocalypse, I think a lot of people were just forced to drop him. So
Yeah, I
I
had
don't
held on
disagree
to
with that.
him for like 6 weeks, and then finally cut bait, and then of course that's when Miles Sanders gets hurt. But
Same
it's
thing
good.
with
It's all
Boston Scott
good.
and Dynasty. But I mean, I don't care about that, to be honest with you. All right, I'll give you, and he is your number one pickup this week.
Yeah, I would say even over Kadarius Toney, just because he's a starting running back against the Detroit Lions this week, where if you really need him, you instantly plug him right in. Toney might not even play this week.
Yeah, we don't know. In fact, I would probably lean towards he won't play this week. From everything I've read online and all the reports coming out.
That would be my
All right.
guess too.
Yeah, no, definitely not. So I'll go to my so he's my number one. Gainwell, I think he should be number one across almost every single site you look at. Every single podcast you listen to, he'll be the number one guy. He's only 24% rostered. He led the Eagles in targets this week with 7, which is huge. And he went 4 for 41. I'm sorry, 8 targets, and he went 4 for 41. 14 points with a tutty, 5 rushes for 20 yards. So he's a must add. I'll give you my number 2 out of the week is your guy. He's your guy. I think we can say that at this point, and it is Rashad Bateman.
My man, that's
Yeah,
what I was
your
gonna
man.
say. He'd be next up for me.
Yeah, so Lamar Jackson's actually throwing the ball really well this year, and at some point this season, people are probably going to have to try a little bit harder when it comes to locking up Mark Andrews. Now, I know they were beat by the Bengals this week, and that was kind of just a perfect storm that happened. Go Joe Burrow, though. My God, did he look good. But Rashad Bateman is going to continue to get more work in this offense. He has 6 targets 2 weeks in a row. This week, he only caught 4, but they were for 80 yards. I'm sorry, he caught 3 for 80 yards. That's huge. No touchdowns yet for Bateman on the season, but that time's going to come. They're on a bye week this week, but my thing here, Kev, is that we only have 2 teams on bye week this week, and it's the Ravens and the Raiders. So you should be fine. Like unless you're like a homer and you live in Las Vegas or you live in Baltimore, you really should be fine this week. So I think Rashad Bateman's an excellent pickup. He's going to still get targeted. He's still working his way into this offense. this prolific offense. I mean, Lamar's been good, man. He's been throwing the ball real well this year. For a guy that runs the ball so much, I mean, he truly is a dual threat in this league. So Rashad Bateman's going to continue to get looks. What do you think about Rashad Bateman? Other than yes, we miss
I'm with it, bro. I'm 100% with it. Basically, this was his worst game of the year, Lamar. 48.
Yeah.
He only completed 48% of his passes. The Bengals just had his number this week. They're gonna have a nice week to rest and then come back against the Vikings.
And then
that'll
their
be fun.
their 2 games after that are even juicier.
Yeah, so I know Hollywood had the big 14 targets this week, which, that's huge. He's not going away. I just think Bateman is gonna he's eating into into Hollywood's target share because he won't get 14 every week. I think Lamar, the way he's throwing the ball this year, and the fact that they don't have a legitimate running back unless they trade for Marlon Mack, which I'm trying to speak into existence. But even then, I'm not quite sure if Marlon Mack's really. He's got to be better than what they have right now, but I don't think he's no J.K. Dobbins. He's not even what Gus Edwards would have been for them. So I do love that. I love the matchups coming up after the bye. I love that he's immediately a factor in this offense.
Yep.
So yeah, I already have him basically everywhere. But he would be my second priority. I'd probably actually add him over Tony.
Would you?
I
mean, it's definitely a close call. I'm not saying you're wrong.
I'd like to get some more information about that, the ankle injury he's dealing with. Probably not. Probably not. When Tony comes back, even if Shepard's back, it'll just be the two of them. There's always going to be somebody out in that offense because it's not meant to be. They will never be all healthy at the same time. Yeah, he would be my number 3 priority. Okay. All right, moving on. Yeah, man, it's between a season long. I'd like Michael Gallup all day.
All right,
coming off the IR, high-powered offense. If you need a 1 week rental though, Randall Cobb would probably be the guy.
Yeah,
given that we're possibly down 3 wide receivers in that offense.
It's not good.
Rodgers going to have to move the ball somehow. I know Aaron Jones, like I said, he should eat. This should be a big game, a nice bounce back game for him, but they got to move the ball somewhere else. MVS, we're not sure if he's coming back or not. The 2 other guys that are out, I think Equinemius St. Brown, I'm not trying to add him.
Can't be sold on him yet. We don't even know what he's about.
So Randall Cobb for me, if you need a guy to just plug in this week, you're struggling, you got injuries or whatever it is, I would add him. If you're looking for a guy to just stash when somebody gave up on, definitely go look at Michael Gallup because the Cowboys are for real this year. Dak is for real, and I would like any piece of that I can get. He might cut into Dalton Schultz work a little bit. He might not. Might not have to. They might all be able to eat with the way that team has been playing. So I would scoop him up.
All right. Yeah, I mean, we talked a little bit about Gallup last week. I obviously love the guy. I mean, you want a piece of that offense, no matter how you can get it, you want it. So, yeah, he's probably my number 3, to be honest with you. So I'd definitely have to agree with you there. In regards to my next, sorry, I'm trying to fix something on my computer. All right, we're good. My next guy, is Leviska Chanel. He's only, I know this sounds crazy. Me and Rhino were just talking about it before the show. He's only 58% owned right now. And the thing about Leviska is that, 3 games ago, week 4, he had 17 against Cincinnati, finished top 20. Then he finished the wide receiver 64 and the wide receiver 35. But that's what you're getting at this point in the season with guys like this, and especially with a Leviska Chanel. If he gets anything over 6 targets, he's going to make work out of it. And he's been averaging, about that. He's had a couple of games where he's gotten 4 and 3 targets, but he's a guy that is part of a growing offense. And I think they have some good games coming up this week. They have Seattle. He's a plug and play easy for me this week, depending on the structure of your team. And then, they're going to have to put the ball in the air against these teams coming up. And I think they're going to continue to do that, even with James Robinson, being so relevant. So Leviska Chanel is definitely my next guy.
I like that with the 10 targets against Miami 2 weeks ago. The guy is electric with the ball in his hands, and if Urban Meyer can't see that, then they probably should have fired him already. So yeah, man. With Chark is confirmed out for the year, so I'm definitely on ESPN. It says he's 61% owned, but we got to just mention him anyway, because anybody who's seeing anywhere close to double-digit targets, he needs to be on your roster.
Yeah.
Especially with what you mentioned. Trevor Lawrence seems to be more and more comfortable each week. They're still going to lose games, but he's more comfortable in that offense. And Seattle is a good matchup. The defense, they looked good last night. That's just because it was Jameis, primetime Jameis, and Traquan Smith. He didn't know what the fuck was going on. It looked like, I know he hasn't played all year, but it looked like he hasn't played football in his life. There was some miscommunications that were pretty serious out there. They made that, the weather didn't help either, but they made the Seattle defense, which has been terrible all year, look very good. I don't think that continues next week. The Jags, that is a winnable game for them. A Geno Smith-led Seahawks team that's reeling right now with the loss of their quarterback. That is a game they could win.
Yeah. All right. I like it. Do you have another guy in mind here?
I'm going to mention CJ Uzama and Pat Freiermuth. Freiermuth, I forgot to put him on the list, but I'm missing Mark Andrews this week on a bye, and Darren Waller is on a bye. So, there's 2 teams in your league that are going to need a tight end this week. So I don't know if I would burn a waiver claim on any of them, but if you get in there right after waivers run, or if you have Fab, I would definitely throw some money at Uzama against the Jets or Freiermuth. He had 7 targets last week before the bye. Juju's done for the year. He might break out the second half of the season. Definitely not a bad speculative ad at all, and you can plug him in this week against Cleveland, see what happens. I mean, what's the worst that happens? I don't see a 0. I would say maybe a couple points, 5 maybe. But he has every opportunity to break out. He's compared to Heath Miller multiple times in that organization. So I think he's going to be good.
All he needs is a couple of targets, man. That's it.
Yeah,
that's it. On average, he has less
threat
than 3 targets. Yeah. He finished. I mean, he finished the tight end 1 in PPR this week, and I made a blunder, don't you? This week in Dynasty. I think people should be aware of this. So doing this show on Sundays is stressful, and then we go right into the week, and we had gotten the news that Darren Waller was out. Well, for some reason, I thought the Bengals game was a 4:05 game, and I did not play CJ Uzoma, even though I dropped someone to pick him up. It was Freddie Swain, so not a big deal. But I didn't play him. I kept Waller in there. Then we got the news, and then I had to play Forrest Moreau. And had I played Forrest Moreau and Uzoma, I maybe would have had a shot. But I did lose by like 80 points because my entire dynasty team was on a bye. So it was troublesome. But yeah, he's the number 1 tight end pickup this week. Can we agree on that?
Yeah, I guess so. Tunyon, given the lack of targets, he's up there, and then Freiermuth, like I said, definitely has a chance to break out after this bye week.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I know that Arizona's defense versus the tight end has been um, has been good. I'm trying to pull up the stats right now, but I know that they're not a hot spot for Tanyan. It might be a rough day for Aaron Rodgers, to be completely honest with you. But I know that Arizona's been good. Yeah, can't pull it up in time, unfortunately. But
They're definitely not a good matchup. It's definitely not a good matchup. But
they're the best. They're the best. They're the best team against the tight end. So
awesome. And remember, wasn't it a couple years ago where Arizona was they were the worst team against covering tight ends, like 2 years ago? I remember
don't
that.
think
I
you're wrong.
remember it was start your tight ends against the Arizona Cardinals 2 years ago. They've made a lot of improvements on the defense, starting with Isaiah Simmons.
Yep.
But yeah, man. I just figured lack of target competition. Throw him on the list if you're in a pinch. If you need a guy, if you have a Waller or a Mark Andrews, Tunyon is a name to consider. But if Uzama is there and probably even Freiermuth, maybe go with them instead. And we got a couple more like dart throw names now toward the end of the list, right?
Yeah, I mean, I would say the majority of these guys, like, you're picking up for, future reasons. Um, my number, I would say, like, damn, because there's a couple of guys that I'm wary of, but Russell Gage, I think you can pick up at this point. 10% owned, got 6 targets, 4 receptions, 67 yards, and a touchdown against Miami. Finished the wide receiver 15. I'm not saying you can expect that on a regular basis, but I do think this Atlanta offense is going to get it going at some point. We saw Calvin Ridley come back from the dead a little bit, so that was nice. And yeah, I don't know. I think it's a guy you can take a shot on if you're looking for a depth piece and you're not trusting of everyone on your bench.
Yeah, and his two like actual healthy weeks. Well, I guess he played week 1. He only had 2 targets, and then he had 7 targets week 2. Then he was hurt. Now he comes back with 6 targets. So I mean, it's there, a little bit of volume. Kyle Pitts is changing that offense. They're figuring out how to
Yeah.
use them, so they should be. Dante Pettis. Yeah, we kind of talked about him last week. We could talk about him again. We'll bring him up. Anyway, Russell Gage, he's at the bottom of the list, but deep leagues, scoop him up. We'll talk about Dante Pettis for you, Rye. The guy scored a touchdown. Was that 2 weeks in a row? No. The first week he just had like 5 for 48. And this week he got into the end zone. If all those guys are out again, what is he, the number 1? Him and
The number
Slayton
1 pickup?
carrying the load? Nah, I mean like the number 1 receiver there.
I mean, I guess he would have to be, right?
It's pretty gross, but
I mean, I'm not picking him up to play him though, to be honest with you, dude. Like last week it was different, I think, because so many people were on bye, but are you like at this week, especially because there's only 2 teams on a bye, I don't think I'm plugging and playing a lot of people.
I
If
would
that makes sense.
only in like we have a 3 wide receiver, 2 flex deeper league, like Dynasty League and our listener league are kind of deep. I would consider Dante Pettis in that.
Okay.
My team's struggling. I would start Pettis over Tim Patrick with Judy coming back.
Okay. I don't disagree with that. Let's run through a couple names though that are still on my list. They're not like on our longer list here. Would you pick up Dante Pettis or Darius Slayton? Let's start right at the helm.
Well, Slayton still had more targets this week, right?
He did 9. Caught 5 of them for 63.
Yeah, he had 9 targets. Pettis
And
had
11 points.
5. So yeah, I'd still want Slayton more than Pettis.
Okay. What about Van Jefferson?
Nah, give me Pettis.
Okay. What about KJ Osborne?
Give me Pettis.
All right. All right. I'm just thinking of names like, I mean, even like Khalif Raymond, Kendrick Bourne are here. I have Jamal Agnew on here as
I'd probably add
a
Pettis
deep
over
league
all of those
stash.
guys. What happened to
Yeah.
Amon-Ra St. Brown though? Why haven't we not seen
Oh.
anything about that? What is happening?
Yeah, for all of us, for all of you that we told to start Amon-Ra St. Brown, first off, I stand by our decision to tell you to do that because we started him in a lot of leagues. Um, not e- not even a single target. I mean, not
We
a
played
single target.
62% of the snaps too.
Crazy, dude. Who was he getting? Who? Yeah, 7 targets, 8 targets, 10,
Eight.
and then 0. That's nuts. I mean, that's literally insane. Who is he
And that's
being
why
covered by?
you can't trust him. You can't trust Khalif Raymond. Because Khalif Raymond had that game. He had a stretch where he had like 8 targets, 10 targets. I picked him up. I was telling people if you need a plug him
I know.
in. And
I
then he
know.
goosed.
And then he
Literally the
goes.
same thing that happened with St. Brown. So it does not make any sense. You can't trust anybody in that offense except DeAndre Swift and
And
maybe Hawkinson.
to be fair to Khalif Raymond, he's finished top 15 twice. I mean,
On the
that's
back of like 2 efforts. Like
yeah. So it was
how
2
many
efforts. So
times
he
has
had
he given
2
you
of
like less than
15.
10 points?
Only 3 out of 7, Kev.
That's a lot, dude. That's
Is it?
like 40%. That's a lot.
What's Tyler Lockett giving us? I don't want to look
Tyler
at that.
Lockett, we're
I'll
talking
get
about him
sad.
later.
I'll get sad.
We're going to talk about him later because he did what he always does.
Yeah, but like this, if Russ was there, he would not be doing this.
Russ
Like
was
I'm
there for
not.
the first couple weeks of his demise.
Yeah. Oh
Telling you,
shit,
man, it's
man.
just what he does. He's a
Well,
ghost.
we knew he would do that, but with the contract extension and the changing of this offense, I think we were all dialed in on Lockett having
He
just a
will end up probably as like a top 30 wide receiver, and he'll do it with just like those 3 games where he goes for 40. But
yeah.
most of the year, he's just gonna frustrate the shit out of you.
Yeah, he's had 4 weeks below 10 points, 1 week at 11 and then a wide receiver 7 and a wide receiver 2 finish.
Right. The
And they
first two
were
weeks
week
of the
1 and 2.
season, you
Yep.
were excited, and ever since then,
Trade
he's
high.
been useless. He
Shit.
has been useless.
Yeah.
Um,
He really has been.
all right, let me just run through these last couple names real quick. We don't have to go into detail, but Brandon Bolden
Sure.
showed up again. PPR. I can't predict what's going to happen week to week though. We talked about Ramondre week to week kind of thing, so don't jump for Brandon Bolden. Samaje Perine though, if he's available, scoop him up. Good handcuff to have because he's getting work even with Mixon on the field. Then the big one, Shawn Watson. Moose, you want to talk about that?
Yeah, I do want to talk about Deshaun Watson. So we did get some news right before the show about this. This was from Roger Goodell, and this is per Ian Rappaport, NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell on Texans QB Deshaun Watson. We don't have all the access to that information and pride ourselves on not interfering with it. Of fucking course you do, because you guys are spineless fucks. Sorry, he didn't say that. I did. That process is ongoing. Important note, we don't feel we have the necessary information to place him on the exempt list. So basically, at this point, pick him up. And you know, I had considered picking him up in our legacy league last week after he was picked up twice and dropped twice because I think people got a little jittery, a little nervous. At this point, if I don't have Josh Allen, if I don't have Tom Brady, or if I don't have Kyler Murray, I'm gonna pick him up. Uh, if you're a Jalen Hurts owner, I'd pick him up. If you are a Sam Darnold owner,
Oh
in a very
God,
deep
I
league,
hope there is no more Sam Darnold owners.
there definitely aren't, but in a very deep league, 2 QB leagues, whatever have you, Deshaun's probably gone, right? He's probably picked up already, but I would pick him up. Basically, anybody that's not top 5, I would be willing to get rid of a fairly good bench player and pick up Deshaun Watson. or a second QB. If you have a second QB and it's not Deshaun Watson, make sure it is. I don't know, man. It's just like
He goes to Carolina, man. His fantasy points per game should be like top 5. I think he instantly just makes that team way better.
What about Miami? I mean, he boosts everyone. I would even say Myles Gaskin gets a boost. No.
Yeah, I mean, it just seems like Tua's actually playing well right now. It's just weird. I would much rather he goes to Carolina.
I mean, I'd love to go see him.
Trash.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not been good. Him and Christian McCaffrey, they will win a Super Bowl. Not this year, but maybe, I don't know. They'll win a Super Bowl together at some point.
Anyway.
Are they 3-4?
Yeah, they were 3-0, and now they've lost 4 straight.
Just like honestly, it doesn't even bother me. Like, they could still win a Super Bowl. They could still come if they get to Shawn Watson and he plays within the next 2 weeks. I mean, that's going to be dangerous. Like, legitimately, that is one of the most lethal combinations you could think of. DJ Moore, Robbie Anderson, in his season, the rest of the year is like they got Atlanta, New England, Arizona, Washington, Miami bye week. Atlanta, Buffalo, Tampa Bay, New Orleans, Tampa Bay. So during the finals, yeah, not going to be so hot, but man, he's going to make an instant impact wherever he goes. I'm not here to debate right now whether he should or should not be able to play because I think most people know what my thoughts are on the subject. But we're just talking fantasy value. He pops the roof off of the Carolina Panthers house. That's what he does. Or Miami, either one, because Will Fuller comes back and guess what? He's got his boy back, you know?
Well, yeah, that's true. Fuller will be back in a couple weeks. That'd be huge for him, man. That'd be huge for Jalen Waddle.
Massive.
Yeah. But I don't know. Bob Kraft, he went into a little bit of trouble with a massage sting, and he was punished, right?
He was.
He got punished by the NFL, or I mean, his charges got dropped. But
I
don't know how we're gonna let this kid play, given what's going on. But let's see what happens.
Yeah. Yep. It's gonna be interesting. Any other names that we forgot to bring up? I mean, Brandon Bolden, Samaje Perine. Those are guys I would consider.
Yeah, I threw him out there.
Oh, you did? Okay. All right, great. So, Kev, before we go any further, first off, if you're with us, thank you very much for being with us. We got about 15 more minutes here, 10, 15 minutes before we wrap up the show. We'll go with our risers and our sinkers real quick, and then we'll dive into the trade that you offered me, and we either will have a counter and or an acceptance or rejection coming up shortly. I know it's big, and I'm here. I'm ready for it. So let's go into our riser sinkers. We'll let you go first with your sinker. Let's start at the bottom of the pack, see where we go from there.
Yeah, I mean, we already covered it. Tyler Lockett, man. As long as Geno Smith is the quarterback, I don't want anything to do with Tyler Lockett. I played against him in a league, and I saw that I was playing against him, and I was going into Monday only up by 20, and the guy had Lockett and Callaway, and I was like, oh, I got this. Just confident. I knew he was not going to have any kind of success with Geno Smith. Right now, even Metcalf is barely hanging on without the 80. Wasn't that his only catch? Or damn close to it?
Yeah, I believe so.
It was just brutal. It's brutal right now for Seattle. I don't know when Russ comes back.
Oh, we do have some news on that. I don't think we covered it. So if you're a Russell Wilson owner, listen up because this is important. And he had 3 targets, by the way, 2 receptions. Russell Wilson's getting the pins taken out of his finger this week. He is not going to be back this Sunday. They're hoping by next Sunday he'll be back. It could take up to 3 weeks. in that case, they go through. Oh, I'm sorry. He won't be back till week 10 when they play Green Bay. They have a bye week next week. Week
They
9
need
they
it.
play. Yeah, they play Jacksonville this week. So, I mean, whatever. Play
They're kind
whoever
of
you got to
done
play. But,
anyway, dude. The way I'm looking at it right now, aren't they 2-5?
I mean, it's not good.
2-5 in that division, that conference. I think it doesn't matter anyway. But for
You think they
Lockett,
have no shot at making the playoffs at this point?
oh, it's going to be so hard. There's
Oh,
too
it's
many
definitely going to be
teams,
hard.
man. There's just too many teams. They'd have to win out almost, I think.
I think they can still make the playoffs. I think they definitely have an opportunity to make the playoffs. They're last in the NFC West, but I mean, when Russ comes back, he's going to be cooking. There are 1,
Is he
2,
though?
3, 4, 5, 6, 6 teams left in that division in that conference that have 2 or less wins. 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 teams with 3 wins. 1 team with 4 wins. So it's possible. I mean, it's very well possible, but am I expecting that? No, their defense still stinks. They've let up 162 points. And they've put up 150. That's not a recipe for success, people. So
They
it's not
dropped
looking
2
good.
games they probably should have won earlier in the year against Tennessee and Minnesota. And that was with Russ. Yeah, I think they definitely need Geno to go out there and beat Jacksonville to even have a shot.
Oh, without a doubt.
They need him to step up this week for sure. Then a bye, and then that's another 2 weeks where Tyler Lockett to me is almost useless. I don't know.
Yeah, you can't.
Be
Yeah, you
confident
can't
throwing
play.
him out there with Geno, and then he's gonna bye. So he's a sinker for me. If you have him, you're probably not starting him. You can't trade him now. No one's gonna want him really. I mean, you might for the second half of the year. If you have a winning record and you can take a little bit of a risk, you might want to scoop him up. But for me, I'm not in a position where I want anything to do with him.
Yeah, agreed. No, I agree. Yeah, it sucks, man. Like I don't know. He was my lock in the 5th round this year. Like if he was coming to me in the 5th round, I was taking him. When you could have gotten probably a Jamar Chase or a Debo. But that you know what? That's what we do here. We make assumptions. We take probability and statistics, and we shove them in your face so that you know who we're picking. All right. So I'll start with my sinker here. Unfortunately, it is Devonte Smith. That offense just has not looked phenomenal. I know Jalen Hurts is still the number 2 on the year. He's still getting it done. I understand that. I'm here for it. I'm a Jalen Hurts owner. I own Devonte Smith in multiple places. But unfortunately, he just hasn't been seeing the production that we want him to. He's got 2 top 20 finishes, one in the top 15 out of the 2 of those. After that, man, it's been rough going. Even with 8 targets, 7, 6, 10, 9, 4, 9. I mean, he's getting targeted. So what's the problem? Like, what is he not getting away after the catch? I don't know his yards after catch. Right now, his yards per reception is 12.7, though. Only 1 touchdown doesn't help. So, and that was in the first week against Atlanta. So it just hasn't been good. And to be honest with you, my stock in him has slowly fallen. At this point, I'd like to see him finish top 35 if he can, maybe top 30. But there's some guys coming out of the woodwork like Kadarius Toney, Marvin Jones Jr. I still think can make a hop. Sterling Shepard could make a splash. Jacoby Myers, if he scores a couple of touchdowns, like it's just not good for Devonte Smith right now. And I'm not confident in starting him every week. We've been constantly telling people to start him because we keep saying to ourselves, Smirks, like it's gonna come, it's gonna happen, it's there, we're here for it. It's really unfortunate, man, and it makes me sad because like Rhino said, Philly, we all thought they were gonna put up a nice week last week and they didn't, and it's just kind of continuing that pattern. So it's unfortunate, but he's
I
sinking
mean,
on me.
there was a report I know it said it was like a beat reporter who may not really have an accurate pulse on the situation, but they said Gardner Minshew has a chance to start games this season. I don't know if that's any kind of factual, but at 2-5, Jalen Hurts is obviously a good fantasy quarterback, but he's not getting it done for the Eagles right now. I know they have other issues. It's not all on him, but they might just say fuck it and put in Gardner Minshew and see what happens. So that's why if you do have Jalen Hurts in fantasy, make sure you have a backup plan for one, just in case.
Deshaun Watson is your backup plan.
Yeah, and for two, Devonte Smith. Yeah, I just think until this offense can really actually get humming through the air, and it's not just Hurts running, then yeah, man, he's definitely falling down the ranks for sure.
It's not good. Speaking of Deshaun Watson, just one last note. Me and Kev will have a different tone and a different outlook on his future this year, because the trade deadline's the 2nd, which is this time next week, and by then the trade will have had to go through. So it's going to be awesome to talk about that next week.
Oh, for sure.
All right, who's your riser?
We talked about him already too. It's Rashad Bateman. I think with that schedule they got coming up, Lamar throwing the ball better. They got a bye week to rest this week. I think it's just a nice recipe to have him be truly acclimated into that offense. I know Hollywood's been great, but this is the guy that they need in that offense, a true number one receiver. He looks really good in the opportunities he's been getting. So I'm just excited for him, man. The rest of the season, he's climbing up my ranks for sure. As far as rookies go this season, other than Jamar Chase, I think Bateman would probably be like right behind him. Probably not in total fantasy points, obviously, because he missed 5 games or whatever it was. But I think points per game and like who I want rest of season, he would probably be the second one behind Jamar Chase right now that I would like.
Yeah. I mean, Bateman's just got. I mean, we talked about it earlier. He's just got such an opportunity here.
Maybe behind Waddle. I forgot about Jalen Waddle, so put him third.
You think Waddle finishes ahead of him? Yeah, probably, right?
But yeah, well, as far as total fantasy points go, Waddle had a 5-game head start, so yeah. But like in points per game, yeah, I still think Waddle has him beaten. I'd rather have Waddle as the season because he's been heavily targeted past few weeks.
Yeah, that's fair.
And if that trade happens too,
forget
the moon for Waddle. But
yeah, you know what?
Up there, dude.
It's funny too, Kev, that you mentioned that. Like, are you trying to trade for any Carolina Panthers or Dolphins right now? I really haven't thought about that yet, but that'll be an interesting aspect moving forward with the trade deadlines. When are the trade deadlines due for fantasy? Are they the end of November?
I think it's usually like week 11 or 12.
Okay. Yeah, so 3 weeks, 4 weeks. Yeah, we don't even know. Deshaun Watson wants to go to Miami. That's why we keep talking about Miami, but in retrospect, like if he had to accept an offer to go to the Eagles, I think he would consider it. I think Philly would love
see what he can do in Carolina, but it probably won't happen.
Yeah. No, unfortunately,
you can't buy Jalen Waddle low right now, really. Because even with Tua, he's playing. They're doing great, which is why I would love for him to go to Carolina because right now you could probably get a discount on DJ Moore. He came out hot, so did Sam Darnold, and now they've kind of chilled out. But I think if he had a serviceable quarterback, like he's still heavily targeted, he's the alpha receiver. DJ Moore right now, I would try to do it.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I don't hate it. I mean, if you can get somebody on the low, go ahead and try it. All right, we'll go through my riser and then we'll go through this trade, Kevo. It's gonna be a blockbuster here live on Facebook. If you're still with us, thanks for joining on this beautiful Tuesday night. If you see us come across your screens, give us a watch. Go ahead and listen. Throw it on for a little bit. We got some interesting things to say. Follow us on our socials, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter. The biggest one right now being TikTok. We are blowing up. Hundreds and hundreds of thousands of views. We're at the 1 million point in a week. So my riser is Elijah Mitchell. Now, I was down on Mitchell. I've been down on this backfield for quite a while. I'm not saying that he will finish top 10. I think he's going to battle for top 20. Legitimately, he's going to battle for top 20, which is crazy to say considering where this kid comes from. But he had an enormous game against Indianapolis in a positive game script for him because of that weather. Bomb cyclone we were talking about. You know what it was actually called? I texted you. Atmospheric river.
They said the bomb cyclone causing an atmospheric river.
That's insane. I've never heard of
both of those phrases back to back. It was wild. Collinsworth was loving it. I'm sure he loves talking about the weather.
Because he's drunk half the time.
That shit was crazy, dude. It was moist out there.
Yeah, it was damp. Elijah Mitchell. I think he has the opportunity to finish top 20 if they keep giving him carries like they have been. I know week 5 he only got the 9 carries, but he was coming back from an injury. In the 3 other games he's played this season, he has 19, 17, and 18 carries. I know it's PPR, but if he's getting, a touchdown every 2 games and 15 plus carries, like you're playing him. He's an RB2, like he in a good one at that. Like you're playing him every single week. And if you can fit him into your flex, do it. He's got a couple of hard matchups coming up against Chicago and Arizona, but honestly, this 49ers offense is in disarray right now. Brandon Ayuk, we don't know what's happening with him. Deebo Samuel is the only constant. Kittle has even before he went on the IR was wishy-washy. We don't know who their quarterback's going to be every week. Shanahan certainly didn't feel positive about Garoppolo the other night. The one thing about San Francisco is that they're going to run the ball. They're always going to run the ball. And I think at this point I can trust in Elijah Mitchell being a top 20, every other week at least. Like I said, he's got Chicago, then Arizona, but then he has teams like Jacksonville, Seattle, Atlanta, Tennessee, Houston. It's just he's going to eat on some weeks. So I'm high as hell on Elijah Mitchell right now.
Yeah, I like that a lot. So whoever, when everyone jumped on him week 1 and spent all their fab or did whatever they did to get him, and then he immediately got hurt, I hope he held on to him because Trey Sermon is not a thing. Unfortunately, he's not even seeing the field. So the only thing that would stop Elijah Mitchell is if Jeff Wilson finally comes back, but they're talking like November, like late November for him, maybe. I think it's Mitchell's job to lose at this point, man. And JaMychal Hasty didn't look very good.
Yeah, even if you can let Elijah Mitchell pop off for a few weeks, like I know I was talking about him having a positive game script, but if you can even package him and a wide receiver at some point to get James Robinson, like I'm going to do that. James Robinson's been unbelievable since week 3. So I know that's a little bit off topic, but Elijah Mitchell's going to have some big games coming up. And if he goes hard against Chicago and Arizona, like it gets easier from there. Like the situation gets easier from there. So if you can package them and trade them for a top 10, I go ahead and do it. A DeAndre Swift, a James Robinson, maybe even a Darrell Henderson, who has an even better schedule coming up in the future. I would go ahead and do that. All right, that about does it for our risers and our sinkers. Let's move on to this trade proposal. So, Kev, go ahead and announce it. What'd you send me, buddy?
Well, basically, you're not going to like it for this week because you can't use Devonte Adams. But I'm looking for Stephon Diggs for Devonte Adams.
Straight up.
Well, I threw Jacoby Myers in there too. But
you just threw him in there, huh?
I honestly think I would take it just straight up Adams for Diggs at this point.
Damn. Damn. That's a big trade, Kevo. That is shit, man.
Devontae Adams is a fucking stud.
That's a big fucking trade, dude. Devonte Adams is a stud. Stephon Diggs is also a stud.
Yeah, so basically the reason why I would even consider trading Devontae Adams is because I'm 2-5 and I'm trying to claw my way back. I had a little momentum, and now it's gone. Without Devontae Adams, man, I don't think I have a shot to win this week. AJ Brown would be just carrying the rest of my team on his back.
Yeah, it's pretty bad, and you absolutely need a win, is what you're telling me.
Oh, I got to do it at 2-5. That's the only reason I would consider trading a player like Devontae Adams is like I'm trying to scrape and claw and get every last bit I can to try to get into the playoffs. Because if I lose this week, it's probably all over.
Okay.
And someone with like you with a winning record, you can kind of Adams isn't going to play this week, but guys are missing multiple weeks.
With you, you know that
Devontae Adams is going to come back. Yeah, man, I would. I like Adams more than Diggs rest of the season, which is why I threw Jacoby Myers in on your end. But I honestly think I would take the Adams for Diggs straight up. I tried to make a trade with Rye too, and he fucking laughed at me. So.
Whoa! What? No, we need to know what you offered him. If he laughed at you, what a dick move!
He didn't just laugh at me; he sent me a counter.
Oh no!
That was what did he awesome. Do? It was hilarious. It was Amon-Ra St. Brown for Devontae Adams. Yeah, so that was like I was like, oh, all right, I disrespected him.
Oh,
I asked for Jay Jettas and Zach Moss, which might be a little too much for Devontae Adams, but it was a negotiation. It was to start a negotiation. I'd probably take Justin Jefferson straight up for Devontae Adams right now, given that I need a win.
Okay, so here's the deal. Here's where my head's at. Okay, I'm looking at who you got. I obviously can't ask you for another player in return, right? In regards to, I can't ask you for another player in return for Jacoby and Diggs, right? I don't think that would be fair to you.
I don't really even fucking have anything for you.
Exactly. Like, I'm not going to ask for Tim Patrick. I'm not going to do that. I would do. I'll say this straight up. I'll do Devonte Adams for Stephon Diggs.
Love to hear it.
So if you want to take that, that's perfectly fine. If you absolutely had to have Jacoby Myers, I would need the Colts D.
Ooh.
But
have you been looking at their schedule?
Why?
I just felt like there's a reason you'd be interested in them. Is it maybe because of their week 9 and 10 matchup?
Yeah, there's definitely a reason. Right now I have Carolina.
I will certainly. I could throw the Colts D in there.
Okay, so I haven't decided exclusively whether I want to trade you Jacoby Myers yet. I want to say that first and foremost. I'm going to need some time to think on this. But I can tell you that I'm considering it. But I also will take Devonte Adams for Stephon Diggs straight up.
All right. Well, let's just make that deal then.
All right. Let's do it. Devonte Adams for Stephon Diggs straight up. Go ahead. Send it. I'll accept it.
I may be taking a little bit of an L. I do think Devonte Adams ends up probably number 1 or 2 wide receiver on the year by the time it's all said and done. I mean, Cooper Kupp has kind of got that shit locked up right now, but
I'll say this. I think Stephon Diggs does have a better schedule, and he's already had his bye week, so I think you're making up for the fact because of that. I'll also say in the playoffs, should you make them, has New England, Atlanta, and the Jets. So I mean you're bound to, if you make the championship, like, and you have Stephon Diggs, like he could just go off and give you 48 points. That's a total possibility. The only thing I'm banking on is that Adams is Adams, Rodgers is
Yeah, that's
Rodgers.
the
So
thing, man, is like I love Diggs, and if this was last year, this would probably be a big no from you. But right now, Diggs has been having a little bit more competition for targets. Emmanuel Sanders has kind of emerged, which is why I believe we're even going to make this deal. Because last year, Diggs actually, no, he still finished behind Adams last year, but it was really close.
you know what's
Yeah,
funny
man,
is
I'm
that
gonna send it. I have to. I need a win. I need someone who's playing this week. And if I lose, fucking congratulations.
did you already send it?
I just did.
Okay. All right, we're gonna do this live. Fuck it, we'll do it live. And I
put him
have
on
it.
the trade block, and the only other offer I received was it was from Uncle Alex. I don't know if
He's
you
oh,
heard.
I
Like,
love
you
Uncle
hear him,
Alex,
right?
man. He's always trying to move.
He tried to send fucking Marvin Jones, Robert Tunyon, and a
Come on, Uncle Alex, what are you
and
doing, man?
Damian Harris. So a 3-for-1.
Oh, I don't mind
For,
that Damian Harris though. I don't mind that, but you
I would have to have modified that trade to include DeAndre Hopkins and Damian Harris, or DeAndre Hopkins and Marvin Jones for Devonte Adams. But I'll take Stephon Diggs from you, man. He's got a nice little 3-game stretch here coming up, and I hope it works out for me. I couldn't take Devonte Adams sitting on my bench this week, so
listen. I'll say this, Kev. I'll say this. Um, I appreciate the hustle. I think that I would probably take this trade more often than I wouldn't. I think you are taking a massive gamble. But the thing is that Stephon Diggs is still like, I got some offers for Diggs that I like wanted to laugh at. Like somebody offered me literally like AJ Brown at one point for Stephon Diggs straight up, and I was insulted. So the fact that I think this is fair is a good thing. The other thing
it's
too
as
is
close
I
as
think
fair as we really could get. I couldn't have asked you to throw in like a good running back with Diggs for Adams only, like, and
no,
no other receiver straight up outside of right now Cooper Kupp, who no one's gonna give me, or like even Jamar Chase. I feel like I lose that. I feel like Adams is still
yeah,
better than Jamar Chase, like right
yeah.
now. So
Like I think Diggs started off the year a little bit iffy, but dude, if he's getting more than 10 targets a game like he has been, he's got Miami, Jacksonville, the Jets, the Colts, the Patriots twice.
even the Saints, like I don't hate any of his
No,
matchups
not a
because he's
single
Stephon
one.
Diggs and he's an elite route runner. I think the only what was getting in his way earlier this year is just Dawson Knox, Manny Sanders. Manny Sanders is still there, but Dawson Knox is going to miss a couple weeks. I'm just going to rely on him to be Stephon Diggs. And even if I lose the trade, I'm winning given my current situation this week. So it's a
You are.
pleasure doing business with you.
All right. Well, virtually shake hands.
Yeah,
Great
we'll
deal
do
here.
that. Here we go.
Pleasure doing business. How are you? Keep the change.
Keep the
Um,
fucking change.
all right, it's 9:15, Kev. That about does it for our show.
Sure
Um,
does.
like like we always say, go ahead, follow us on our social media. TikTok is the big one. If you don't have a TikTok and you think you're gonna hate it, believe me, I was in the same boat. You're not. It's mostly comedy, more or less. I just thought it was underage girls dancing, and I was not about it until we started doing it. And it really, I think TikTok, tailors things to you more so than I thought they would. Just random videos. Like I get mostly sports related stuff. So go on TikTok, just follow us, even if you don't use the app. Just look at our stuff because it's funny as hell, man. We're blowing up. So otherwise, find us on YouTube at the Fantasy Dads, Instagram, Twitter, everywhere you look, we're at the Fantasy Dads. Kev, great show again. I think next week we're going to have some more interesting things to talk about since the trade deadline is that day. It's yeah, we're gonna do.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's right. So Rhino was just in my ear here. We will be on TikTok live on Sunday. So I know that's a little bit different than what we normally use. All next week will be on TikTok Live. And the reason being is because our producer Rhino will be out of town at Disney celebrating the what is it, the 50th year anniversary?
His honeymoon, bro. It's
And
his
his
honeymoon.
honeymoon. That's right.
He's
That's
going
right.
out there. He's gonna have a
Happy honeymoon.
blast.
That's an awesome honeymoon. Jelly. But yeah, we'll be on TikTok. We'll give you guys the information on Facebook. We know most of our followers come from Facebook. We want you guys to be engaged on TikTok. So we'll get all that information up for you this week. Otherwise, we will see you Thursday. Rhino, I know you're in my ear here, buddy. Are you going to be here on Thursday? Okay, so Thursday, the normal Thursday pregame show with me and Perks will be up. And then after that, we'll have, like I said, all the information ready for you in regards to Sunday and moving forward next week. And Kev, I bid you an adieu, sir. A good adieu.
You better get to
What is
fucking
that?
Halloween Town or Spirit Halloween. Get yourself a nice mask for this Sunday, though, Moose.
That's
I'm
right.
masking up for these shows, man.
All right, bet.
I'm
Are we
masking up on Sunday.
dressing up full dress up?
All right, here's the thing. I wanted to make a skit where I'm Pete Carroll, so I was gonna dress up as Pete Carroll. But for the show, I think I'm just gonna get a mask.
Listen, I'm just gonna tell you something. If you sit here during the show all Sunday and you chew gum in my ear, if you're chomping on gum in my ear, I'll put a hole through my wall. I can't stand the sound of chewing. You guys,
drive to your
just learn
house and
something.
murder you in cold blood.
Oh my god, I would. I would fill a bag filled with bars of soap.
You
and
wouldn't.
beat
You
the
wouldn't
shit
even.
out of
You wouldn't even make it, dude. My wife would kill me first.
Oh, that's great. All right, Kev. Another great show, buddy. Good to see you again. Pleasure doing business, and we'll see you on Sunday.
All right, buddy. Take it easy.
Peace.
Thank you, everybody. Yeah, I'm gonna just